Hello everyone, and welcome to another technical overview video of Black Square's Starship. Starship has a one-of-a-kind installation of the Collins AMS 850 Avionics suite, with 14 cathode ray tube displays and so much more. As I've said before, this has been a multi-year passion project for me, and I've written over 30,000 lines of code for just the Avionics suite alone. That includes all the redundancy features, hundreds of failures, and temperature management that's required to keep the avionics running. Starship was the first general aviation aircraft with an all-glass panel, so much of what we consider to be standard today was first implemented in Starship. There are also a few features that have never been seen again in modern avionics. Before we get started, let's activate the ground power unit and connect it to the aircraft. We'll want to make sure that it's running at a constant 28 volts before we bring it online. With all of the avionics in this aircraft, our sole battery would be depleted in just minutes with them all running on the ground like this. Getting back to the instrument panel, would you look at all these displays? Front and center is the primary flight display, which should look very familiar to other aircraft without a lot of surprises. That one's easy. Underneath is the navigation display, or ND. It defaults to an HSI format because map displays were very new technology when Starship was built. To display the map, which only shows our flight plan waypoints, we can press the Arc Map button twice on the Control Display Unit, or CDU. The CDU is also how we'll interact with the flight management system and the radar, which can also be displayed on the ND. On the upper left of the panel is the Airspeed Indicator, or ASI. The ASI can show us true airspeed and several different outside temperatures, but it also has a bug for autopilot control and speed reference, which can be shown on the PFD. To the right is the Altitude Vertical Speed Indicator, or ALI. This one is probably the most unusual of the bunch because it displays vertical speed within the altimeter dial. We use this instrument to set our target altitude, bug a vertical speed, and set the barometric pressure. This aircraft is equipped with Black Square's improved altitude and vertical speed arming, which does a lot to simplify vertical navigation. When either of these two instruments is the primary source of vertical navigation for the flight director, a cyan FD will appear in the upper right-hand corner. The last of these three small screens is the Sensor Display Unit, or SDU, which is a monochromatic HSI and RMI that can display just enough navigation information to get you home with minimal electrical power. In the center of the panel is the Engine Instrumentation and Crew Alerting System, or ICAS. On the left of the display we have our engine instrumentation, with temperatures and pressures on the bottom right, and also the Crew Alerting System, or CAS. The CAS can be a multi-page list with 85 different alert messages. Yellow messages require immediate pilot attention and trigger a master caution. White messages can be desired during specific procedures, and green messages are purely informational. On this screen, the only unusual design choices are the combined scale for torque and ITT and the propeller RPM scale. In order to provide better visual resolution, the RPM pointer makes almost 2 full rotations around the scale for maximum RPM, with one rotation being equal to 1000 RPM. You might have to see that one to understand it. Below the ICAS is the Multifunction Display, or MFD. The MFD can serve as your primary map display while flying or flight planning. It can also display flight management information, checklists, avionics fault codes, and details about Starship's original navigation system. Before GPS became publicly available, Starship could determine its location by automatically tuning nav aids and Omega and VLF transmitters. Although the surviving aircraft have all been equipped with GPS today, this archaic system has all been simulated for the most ambitious pilots who want to fly like it's 1989. We'll come back to this one in a future video. Lastly, in the very center of the panel are the two radio tuning units, or RTUs. These are the headers for all radio tuning on the aircraft. They can be used to manually tune the radios, although this can also be accomplished through the CDU. The content of each RTU can be displayed on the other in case one fails. Each RTU can also display basic engine instrumentation as a last resort. Next to these reversionary switches is the Radio Remote Tuning Disable switch, which is a mouthful. When this switch is activated, it will prevent the CDU from automatically tuning the RTUs away from the currently selected frequency in the event of a malfunction. Since glass panel instrumentation was so new when the Starship was designed, there is almost complete redundancy across the cockpit. For the small screens, you can control the autopilot from across the panel by pressing the APXFR button on the pedestal. For the center screens, the ICAS can be moved to the MFD screen with this reversionary switch. The PFD on each side of the aircraft is capable of displaying navigation information and can be placed on either screen. On the same panel, we can also choose to use the cross-side attitude reference information and the cross-side CDU for flight planning and mode selection. Remember, all of the displays also have their underlying systems that drive them, which are all subject to Black Square's failure system. I think that's enough for the first half of our avionics videos. Next time, we'll focus on the CDU and flight planning. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.